Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, founder of the Complete Healthy Kitchen program. And today I'm live in the kitchen and we're going to be making a lemongrass coconut vegetable soup. Mwah! Sometimes, if you're like me, you might be in the grocery store and you see an ingredient that just inspires you to buy it and make something with it. This was me when I happened to see some lemongrass on the grocery counter. And I remember seeing a recipe that had lemongrass in it. So I bought it on impulse, which is not a great idea because you haven't planned for it and it's probably not in your budget. But every once in a while, inspiration strikes and you have to do something with it. So instead of just saying, go and make something, sometimes it's easier to do it with a friend. So that's why I'm here today to walk you through the steps. If you've ever wanted to make a lemongrass coconut soup, let's do it together. So I have everything out here in front of me. I have the recipe and I'm going to walk you through it and provide you with the recipe as well. So the first thing that we are going to do is I'm using my Instant Pot to saute and also to cook the vegetables and the soup before we blend it together. If you don't have an Instant Pot, that's okay. You can use just a pot on the stove and your cooking time will be just a little bit longer than mine will be because I'm using the pressure cooker. Okay, so to start off with, we are going to saute. And to do that, I'm going to use some coconut oil and just put it right there into my pan. Give it a nice little stir. And we are going to be sauteing up some onions, some garlic, and some ginger. Now, if you haven't seen already my trick with onions, if you do not like cutting onions, if they make your eyes water, here is an everyday kitchen tip for all you everyday women. Frozen diced onions. Okay, you get it in the freezer section along with where all the other frozen vegetables are. And 1 cup of the diced onions is the same as 1 onion. Okay, no cutting needed. Whew, that was nice and hot. Okay, it's a lifesaver. How easy is that? And then you just throw it back in your freezer and use it whenever you need to. Okay. Now, usually I like to use fresh garlic. However, my daughter did some shopping and she came back with one of these jars of pre-minced garlic. If you've used one of these, then you know that 1 teaspoon of the minced garlic is the same as a clove of garlic. Okay, and my recipe calls for 4 cloves. So I'm going to put in 4 teaspoons. So the nice thing about this, obviously it's handy. I don't have to mince them. They're ready to go. But there is, oh, I don't need the lid. There's something nice about also just crushing your garlic, especially in this soup where we're going to be pureeing it. You don't have to worry about how big or small chunks that you have. I would just crush the garlic and throw it in. I wouldn't even have to mince it, but in other recipes, it's a bit of a time saver as well. Okay, now for the garlic. And I have to be honest, nothing beats fresh garlic. So this is what a garlic looks like. It is a nice little root. And I'm just going to cut off a fresh piece. And again, because we are putting it into a soup, you don't have to grate this. You don't have to mince it very small. I'm just going to use the back of a spoon, okay, for the peel. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that peel off. It comes off really easily with a spoon. And I'm going to slice it. If you want to grate it, you can. It just will take you a few more minutes and that's okay. Oh, okay. If you want people to come into the kitchen and say, what is for lunch or what is for dinner? It smells great. Ginger has that really nice, fresh, little bit of a spicy smell to it. And it just makes your whole kitchen smell fantastic. I have a couple great recipes for ginger in salad dressing and for some of the other recipes. All right. So like I said, I'm just going to slice it up. If you don't like your soup too spicy, you can just use a little less ginger. In it goes. All right. So while those are sauteing, I'm going to prepare my other vegetables for you. All right, next up, 2 carrots, coarsely chopped. If you are using organic carrots, you don't even have to peel them. And again, because it's going into a soup, you don't even have to put them into coins. You can just give them a couple good chops. Okay, they're just going to cook. Go ahead and put them in. Next up is 2 stalks of celery. And I don't have any celery. So here's what I do have. I have some baby bok choy, which is actually very similar in taste and texture to celery. So I'm just going to chop it up. Now I will say that because of the green and the orange, if you don't want your soup looking too brown at the end, if you want it looking a little bit more yellowish or a different color, okay, then you don't have to put in the greens. Okay, I don't mind brown soup. Extra vitamins and minerals, all that good stuff, in it goes. Okay, so you can always substitute. You know what? This is a great soup to use what you have. Okay, usually I have celery on hand, so it's not a problem, but today we're going to substitute it out. Our next ingredient is red pepper, coarsely chopped. And if you want, you can save some to sprinkle on top. I'm just going to put it all in. Okay, I'll just put it again. You don't have to do anything fancy because it's just going to all cook down and you're going to blend it up for the final product. There we go. Did you know that red pepper has more vitamin C in it than an orange? It does. Healthy fruits and vegetables in our soup. Our next ingredient is 3 cups of water. There we go. And now we're going to we only need 2 stalks of the lemongrass. Okay, so we're going to cut off the ends because they're usually dried out. Okay, and the things with these is you want to bruise the stem. That will help it to release its fragrance and its flavor. And if you've never cooked with lemongrass before, we use it for its flavor, right? But it's quite fibrous. So we're not actually going to be blending this up into our soup. After it's cooked and released all its goodness, we're actually going to take it out before we blend it up. Okay, so you can use the flat of your knife and just crush it down a little bit. Okay, and that will just help it to cook better. So you'll see it just kind of comes out a little bit at the end. Okay, and I'm just going to cut it in half, make sure it fits into my pot. There we go. All nicely crushed. In it go. Oh, it smells wonderful. Maybe I need to find some more recipes with lemongrass because that smells fantastic. And I know it's going to taste magnificent. The final ingredient before we cook it up is a can of full fat coconut milk. Okay, just going to pour that in. So now I'm going to let this cook in my Instant Pot. I'm going to give it 5 minutes. If you were cooking this in your regular pot, you can let it cook and then simmer for 20 to 30 minutes until your carrots are fork tender. Okay, so I will let this cook and then we'll be back to finish up the rest of our soup. All right, we are back. The soup is all cooked. We are ready to process it in a blender. One thing I'm going to say about the blender is even if you don't have a high-speed blender, you do need to make sure that you have a venting top because when you blend it up, the heat, right, could make the lid fly off and splatter hot soup everywhere. So just be very cautious that you are using the proper equipment when you're dealing with hot soup. So I have let it cool enough that I can touch it. You don't want to burn yourself with the soup. So I'll have you take a look. There you go. So you can see the bok choy, you can see the peppers in there. It's a nice yellowy color. Okay, so the first thing that we needed to do is to remove the lemongrass stalks. And just be a bit careful when you're taking them out, because as you can see, they're concentric. So if you just, ooh, that one's still hot. If you grab it, it could squeeze right out, and then you'll have to find all the smaller layers that can become hollow when you pull them out, okay? Slippery little sucker. All right, I might find some as I pour it. So now we're going to very carefully pour the soup into the blender. And here's a tip, always pour away from you so that if it splatters, it doesn't splatter into you. All right, oh, actually, here's a really great way to find your lemongrass is to drain off the liquid and then you can just pull them out. That would have been a bit faster. Oh, it looks so good. Right, there we go. Secure the lid and all right, that's it. Look at that wonderful golden color. So the nice thing about this, it's a little bit of comfort food, a little bit of golden sunshine in a bowl. It has the onions and the garlic, which are great to boost your immune system. We have the vitamin C from the red pepper. We have vitamin A, of course, in the carrots. We have the bok choy, so we're getting vitamins and minerals and some fiber, all with this lovely fragrant lemongrass. The last thing that you can do is you can season it with a little bit of chili salt or regular salt. I happen to have a chili and lime salt flakes, which are fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle those on. And let's taste it together. First of all, let's just enjoy the fragrance. It smells so good. It's probably very hot. This is very, very nice. It reminds me a little bit of Thai food because of the coconut and the lemongrass. So if you're a fan of, that's probably where it comes from. If you're a fan of Thai, you're going to love this soup. Okay, really easy to make. You can store that in your fridge for a few days. It'll freeze really nicely as well. A really tasty soup that you can have for lunch, make as an appetizer, or if you want it to have a little bit more substance, you can also add a protein like some chicken, some wild rice, anything like that. If you prefer your soups a little bit chunky, you could also, instead of pureeing everything, you could also add in some of those vegetables, have chunks of peppers and carrots and celery and that kind of thing if you prefer it that way. So I hope that you give this lemongrass coconut vegetable soup a try. It is delicious and it is full of great nutritious ingredients, fresh and healthy. So I hope that you give it a try. Love from the kitchen. We'll see you later.